Hi and welcome to CBN4's Primetime News Package for this evening. I am your presenter, Alan Christopher. First up in tonight's news, the Acting Forest Officer, Research and Monitoring, Stephen Dura, says that despite the devastation of Dominica's forest, there's still a large percentage of standing trees. Dura indicated that it will take some time for Dominica's forest to blossom, though it may not be totally rejuvenated.
We're 2 months, past the storm, and so we are seeing the forest is slowly and gradually coming back. There has been new shoots, new flushing of leaves. Some plants have already flowered and fruiting, and which is very important because this is critical for wildlife, especially the parrots and some of the other smaller birds, the other bird species. And it will take some time. It's definitely going to take some time. But in the next 2 years, by the next 2 years, we will see a vast difference, as compared to what we see now. The forest will begin to look more like what it used to be. It will not be totally healed, but there's going to be a lot more forest cover than what we actually currently seeing now. And so it's just time.
The Acting Forest Officer stated that the passing of the hurricane might have devastated Dominica's forest and Dominica by extension, but it has definitely created opportunities. Dominica suffered significantly from the mountains to the coastal areas, and Dura believes that the forest suffered damages between 80 and 90% based on preliminary estimates. And Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit has announced that an estimated $1 billion has been pledged towards Dominica at the CARICOM UN Nations High-Level Conference, which was recently held in New York. The Prime Minister indicated that while it has been estimated, the funds will be made available to Dominica over a period of time.
So there will be funds that will come in the short term, there will be funds medium term, and there may be funds in longer term. Because some countries would have given, say for example, a 3-year commitment of funds or a 4-year commitment of funds. And so you'd have to break it down in those 3 or 4 years intervals and to determine how much you would get for each particular year. So in total, so far, and we're still doing the maths, as I said, getting confirmation from the various partners in terms of you made a commitment of $100 million, how much of that specifically will go to the Commonwealth for Dominica? So we engage on a bilateral basis, and also the CARICOM Secretariat is assisting with the coordination of that. So it is estimated at the Donors Conference alone, there was a commitment to Dominica in about $1 billion EC dollars. That is our estimate. Obviously, these are not money, all of the monies will not be deposited in the treasury tomorrow morning, and people have to appreciate that.
Skerrit noted that the government will be looking to assign these resources in different sectors. He also said that the Donors Conference was a successful one, coupled with the support from the international communities.
It was the first opportunity to meet with all of the partners, both countries, institutions, organizations, private corporations. It was extremely well attended. There was very sound participation by those present, and the firm commitment and concern and solidarity with Dominica, Antigua, Anguilla, the British Virgin Islands, the Turks and Caicos Islands, islands were Cuba, all of these islands that were affected by the various hurricanes, and I felt that the commitment of the international community was very pronounced.
And as Dominica continues to improve its electricity service, persons wanting electricity are advised to rewire and retest their homes through electrical division. To date, over 1,000 customers have received electricity in Roseau and environs since the passage of Hurricane Maria, all of them being retested and approved by the electrical division before being given power. Cedric Labad, senior staff member and technician at electrical division, stated that electricity service is being restored to homes that are prepared and recertified. Labad explained that in the recertification process, provisions are made for those persons with tarpaulin roofing.
For the electricals, we recommend that people have their place prepared. You may not get water, may not get any disaster from the hurricane. You may have a concrete roof or your roof never go. But as it's a recertification that we are doing, we recommend that all electricals are saved. One, should not have any broken switches, sockets, or very old, dilapidated electrical devices. So basically, when we come to re-inspect, we don't really look for the water. But if you have a damage or burned socket in the house, this could consider you to be failed. If you have your roof removed, we recommend that you have galvanized and a tarpaulin. But if you insist it will take you a little time for you to have that done, we recommend that you put a temporary connection, which you do like when you're building a house. You build a box with a main switch, a socket and a light, and you enclose it if it's a galvanized itself and a padlock, and you can put it into the tarpaulin building, and we will actually test it to have you to have power there. We certify the box, not the building. If you take out your own and energize the entire building and anything happens to you, our records is just the box we certify, not the house.
Labad mentioned that the Electrical Division office is now located on the 3rd floor of the ministry building. He suggested to persons wanting recertification to seek the advice of those in the Electrical Division.
This is just a digital model, one of the newest models, and what it does is that it sends a voltage through the installation,
and if the wires are squeezed, rubbed, or accidentally touching on something that can cause you to shock, the meter will indicate a reading to about 0.0 to 0.5, and that we consider it to be failed. If for the reading we actually accept is within 5 megs and upwards in mega ohms, resistance on the mega ohms, the average digital meter will not perform this. This meter can actually shock you. So if you have anything within the house that is anywhere that can be shocked, or we prefer that when we come to do the inspections, you unplug and disconnect everything, because the meter itself can also damage certain things in the house if it's connected.
The senior staff member also says that there are some cases in which the home may not require full rewiring. According to Labad, homes that have concrete roof and those where the roof remained intact may not require full rewiring except on the basis of the age of the wiring that was done. And stay tuned for more local news highlights after this break.
Please don't drift away. 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 Oh, won't you take me to your paradise? Please don't drift away. Please don't drift away. Please don't drift away.
And welcome back to CBN4's Primetime News. And since the passing of Hurricane Maria on September 18th, farmers in Dominica has suffered excessive loss. Ryan Ansem, Technical Officer in Projects and Services in the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, says that the damage within the agricultural sector amounts to 333 million. While farmers hope to benefit from monetary assistance initiated by the government to farmers most affected, Ansem indicated that part of the Ministry of Agriculture program is to see how best they can implement short rapid response programs that can offer food security.
Part of that was to implement a vegetable program, and that vegetable program, its objective really is to see how quickly we can grow vegetables, backyard and small subsistence that will ensure that farmers and farm families would have vegetables for Christmas. And so part of the strategy would be to produce seedlings for the farmers, and to date we can safely say approximately 850 farmers have benefited from this program. We speak of the FAO support in terms of emergency response. FAO has supported the ministry in providing seedlings and small equipment, and part of that program is to give rapid emergency supplies to the farmers, and that supply was in tune of $300,000. We've also gotten support from the OECS through an initiative by ICA, where they provided us with a specialist that assists in the propagation of seedlings. The ministry, through its recurrent budget, also provided farmers with seeds and fertilizer.
Ansem stated that the Ministry of Agriculture is also engaged in long-term projects. He explained that long-term refers to the restoration of citrus or tree crops on the island.
We speak of our avocados, our citrus, our coffee and cocoa. So the ministry is working on a recovery plan, and we're getting support from the FAO, ICA, CADI and other organizations.
The technical officer noted that farmers are making claims to the Ministry of Agriculture to assess farm losses. Ansem explained that the claims process is ongoing, but not without challenges.
The claims that farmers are bringing in, it's part of an ongoing assessment by the extension. The procedure is that the extension officer in the different agricultural regions, and we speak of 7 agricultural regions, the extension officers would go on the field and do a full assessment of that field, and that is ongoing. And the Ministry of Agriculture is presently inputting this information in a database. But outside of not providing a full assessment of the damage, one would understand there's serious limitation in terms of the feeder roads. Some of the feeder roads are blocked, transportation issue, and so this assessment is ongoing.
The technical officer stated that in the meantime, the Ministry of Agriculture is working with the farmers to provide necessary inputs to replant and restore access to farmlands. And Hurricane Maria was severely devastating to the island of Dominica, not only to the people and the infrastructures, but also to the wild animals in particular. Disaster manager for the International Fund for Animal Welfare, Shannon Walaitis, said that the wild animals were greatly affected by the hurricane. She said their habitats were destroyed from one end of the country to the other.
They have lost a very valuable food source. Up in the trees, the seeds, the leaves provided not only nutrition but also shade and shelter from the elements. So what has happened is your wild animals have had to seek food resources other places, sometimes on the ground, which on the ground they actually can turn into prey for animals, and that is one of the reasons that IFAW is here.
Walaitis indicated that the surveys that would be done to identify the number of animals out in the wild, especially the Cicero parrots, have been challenging because of the destroyed trails and roads.
So the Division of Forestry, Wildlife and Parks has been getting officers out into the forest to not only try to check on the parrot population, but other wildlife as well. The reports coming in so far are not very optimistic. There are not a lot of reports coming in of Cicero parrots in the wild. I believe to date there have only been 5 sighted, and 2 of those are pairs. That's not very good news. So before the hurricane, the population had risen to about 500. And we're hoping that they're out there, that they've sought shelter somewhere, and soon the Division of Forestry officers will be able to find them.
She also noted that it is possible for the birds to seek safety at neighboring islands, but the Forestry Division, Wildlife and Parks remains uncertain if any of the birds migrated before or even after the storm. And also in the news, the Dominica Cricket Association has faced some setbacks after its training grounds in the Botanical Garden in Roseau has suffered severely from the hurricane. The Category 5 hurricane destroyed much of the natural ambience that existed at the gardens, and that includes the grounds. Ben Pascal, the Public Relations Officer of the Dominica Cricket Association, laments that since Maria, the association has not been able to make use of that facility.
And since Hurricane Maria, we haven't been able to use that facility for many reasons. Of course, although we man the general cricketing area, but the Botanic Gardens belongs to the Forestry and Wildlife Division, which is a department of the Ministry of Agriculture of the government of Dominica. And so a lot of things that have to be put back in place must go through the Forestry and Wildlife Division.
Meantime, Pascal declared that the Cricket Association has been making moves towards facilitating their activities. Pascal reveals that while there are challenges, the association, along with committed staff, made it possible for them to make use of other venues.
At the moment, we hold activities at Portsmouth. We also have staff members in the name of Sam Kernan, who is really a head coach at the academy, but he does practically everything. So at the Benjamin's Park, he was able, with the assistance of Terence Bertrand, that we refer to as Ruta, and they got on the ball and they were able to get that facility up and running, so much so that we were able to collaborate with the sports division in preparing our national under 15 team, who's going to be leaving Dominica on the 9th to the 18th to take part in a tournament in St. Vincent, the Windward Islands, or Win Lotto tournament on the 15th from the 10th to the 17th. So that has been really a strength for us, because other than that we would be stopped and we wouldn't be able to hold any other activities. In fact, in addition to the preparation of the national under 15 team, last Sunday we held an event which we thought was the best thing to do in terms of bringing the cricketing family together. And so we initiated a six-a-side to bring our cricketers together and more or less to kickstart our programs again, because the hurricane we would have been in a situation where the hurricane destroyed most of our facilities and our programs.
He stated 2 main issues to be addressed to facilitate the association's return to their training ground at the Botanical Gardens. According to Pascal, the pavilion needing covering and lack of water in the gardens is presenting quite a challenge. And here are some results of matches played on Wednesday in the sports division's under-20 secondary schools football championship at Newtown. The Dominica State College defeated the Dominica Grammar School 3-0 at Portsmouth. The Portsmouth Secondary and the Isaiah Thomas Secondary School played to a 3-3 draw in an exciting encounter. The championship continues on Friday at 2 venues with 2 doubleheaders in the under-17 division. At the Newtown playing field from 2 p.m. it will be a derby match between the city rivals, the St. Mary's Academy and the Dominica Grammar School, whilst at 3 p.m. at the same venue it will be the Pierre Charles Secondary versus the Cassibruce Secondary School. At Portsmouth's Benjamin's Park from 2:30 p.m. the home team, St. John's Academy, will host the Isaiah Thomas Secondary and in the under-17 division, while at 3:30 p.m. also at the Benjamin's Park, the Portsmouth Secondary School will host the Goodwill Secondary School. Friday's matches are expected to be highly competitive as things begin to heat up in Dominica's schoolboys football. And that takes us to the end of the Primetime News package for this evening. If you've missed any of the stories, you can catch up on CBN4.com or visit our Facebook page. Until our next broadcast, I am Alan Christopher saying thank you for watching.